What's up, you guys? This is Zay Brooks, and this is episode 37 of a show I do not know the title to yet. Today, I want to start us off by watching this video.
Capitalism gives everyone a chance to get rich if they just work hard enough.
Oh my God, Morty! Capitalism doesn't work if everyone wins. It needs poverty to function. Someone has to take the low-paying jobs so the profits keep flowing upward. If everyone had real financial security, no one would take those positions, and the system would collapse.
But Rick, that's just how the market works. Some people earn more because they provide more value.
Tell that to the kid assembling your iPhone overseas for pennies while some CEO makes millions off it. Capitalism doesn't reward work, it rewards ownership. You don't climb the ladder by working hard, you climb it by owning the ladder. The workers collectively produce infinitely more value than some shareholder living in the Bahamas.
Okay, but isn't it about freedom? People can still move up if they make good choices. Look at people who came from nothing and became successful, like entrepreneurs or celebrities.
Those are exceptions, idiot, and that's why they're on TV. For every one person who makes it out, millions stay stuck because they never had the same luck, connections, or safety nets. The system needs those stories so people believe it's fair.
And so this video inspired me to talk about what I want to talk about today. And I feel as though when rules are presented to you, and this can be in any endeavor, sports, business, society as it were, you can spend time complaining about rules that you can't fix or change, while other people are spending time figuring out how to beat the game. And that's not to say, I want to come out and say this right at the beginning, everything in that video, there's some truth to it, there's some falsity to it, and I'm going to talk about both sides of it, but I do agree that the way capitalism is set up, it's where winners win and losers lose. But I think the biggest thing that they forgot to mention in that video is that everyone has the free will to choose. Everybody is the CEO of their own life. And if you don't take control of your tendency to victimhood, I don't mean to hurt people's feelings, but realizing when something is truly in your control or when something is not. And a lot of things in life, believe it or not, are in your control. Let's go in reverse order. Let's say somebody really feels that video, right? Oh man, I work this terrible job that I don't like, and it causes me to not have any money to spend the things that I want to spend or invest or buy a house or do the things that I want to do. You know, I have 2 kids and a wife, and it just makes things so hard on my life, and I can't seem to get out of it. And you get what I'm trying to say, that there are things in their life that they don't enjoy, that they have time to allocate to other things that really matter to them, so they don't have a chance to get higher in the socioeconomic way of capitalism that is America, right? And again, I don't mean to hurt people's feelings. I'm just really trying to paint a different perspective about how quickly you can place yourself in that victimhood. So back to this person. And I really don't want to make you guys think that I'm hurting your feelings. If anything, I'm like a good friend that I feel like is just trying to hold you accountable. And these are things that I use in my own anecdotal experience. No one told you to work that job. No one told you to make the decisions that you're going to make. I think from a very young age, we all have the ability to choose the life path that we want. That's why I think it's always important when they say integrity, there's also a level of integrity and accountability towards yourself, because the decisions that you make right now are going to influence the future self. And so then once the present becomes the future, then the future self will play victim on the system, when in reality a past version of themselves weren't thinking about the future version of themselves. That sounds like metaphysical and like time traveling, but all I'm saying is, in your life, you really do have the freedom to choose. And sometimes when you were a lot younger, last episode I was talking about 18 years old, when I'm 28, how I feel at 18. Those decisions that you make that early influence what happens 10 years later, 20 years later, 30. I talked about compound interest as well. You can have compound interest, right? And basically what that is interest growing on top of each other, either positively or negatively. One of the best ways to explain that is in retirement, is that when your dividends and the money that you get topples on each other, the amount of money, let's say you start with $100 and then the dividend is $102. Now you're making interest on $102. Now the dividend makes, $108. Now you're making $108, but there's dividends on the 108, not the original 100. That's compound interest, right? And so I think that can happen negatively in your life as well. I think before you blame any other system or anybody else in your life, I think the first person that you should take a look at is yourself and reflect on the decisions that brought you to where you are. Spiritually, everything in your life right now you manifested years ago. And if you want to look at it from a non-spiritual perspective, all the decisions that you made, all the things that you were thinking about, all the selfish present moment feelings, right? Those truly influence your future self. And it's like a cycle where your present self is the most selfish, and so now you're influenced by your past self being selfish, and then you influence your future self to also be selfish. And it's weird because you're talking about you, but there's also different versions of you. When I was 18, life was a lot different for me from who I am now, but I knew there were values and things that I genuinely wanted, things that I had manifested. And 10 years later, I got the degrees that I wanted. I went to school and I played basketball on a full-ride scholarship. I went and had a corporate job where I was making good money. And then now, I'm an entrepreneur. But, different parts of life ask for different versions of you. But that's not to say the consistency of who you are, and in terms of the values and the morals that you live by, like, that really matters. And most people don't realize that because they're so busy, like, stuck in the present moment. But it's good to be in the present moment spiritually, right, Zay? Like, isn't that what you talked about? It's like, yes, but everything is a balance. Like, you should be present in the moment that you're in, but there are things that you can control now that will influence the future version of yourself. It's like, just because I say be in the present moment, that doesn't mean be some lazy person and think that everything's going to be all figured out and life is good. But no, there's going to be moments in the present moment that you're doing things that you don't want to do. All the times that I woke up in high school at 5 a.m. to shoot, and then, I lifted weights, and then afterwards I go and shoot again. Like, those are things in the present moment that I was fully enveloped in, and I may not have enjoyed, but it was things that I knew would influence my positive, or my future version of myself. So anyways, that was a huge tangent. The main premise of this video, right, we're talking about the capitalism and the economic structure of our society, right? The workers are the ones that don't benefit. It's the owners. Okay, well, I understand what you mean by that, but who's to say that you can't be an employee and have some sort of golden home run idea where you get to become that business owner, having that ownership, having that equity in the company to then provide jobs. And you're also acting like these owner of businesses are terrible people. They're providing income for people to feed their family. It's the person's choice whether or not which type of job they want to work. You're 35 years old with 2 kids and a wife, or you're in a position where you need more money, then you probably shouldn't go work at a fast food restaurant or somewhere that's not going to give you a lot of money. You need to figure out a way to network and build value within yourself to certain businesses to where, okay, I actually deserve this level of salary for this position at a job. Again, you are the CEO of your own life. Nobody told you to walk in and go work X job or Y job. I'm not even going to say them out loud because I don't want them to sound negative or positive. I just want people to get the idea that you can't, but before you choose to blame the system, please just take a moment to reflect on where you've come and the decisions you've made and what you can do now in the present moment to change your reality. I think a lot of people in life are expecting some sort of like magical moment or money or opportunity. That it's just the things that happen out of thin air like that. Like, I always say this a lot, and I want to get it tattooed on me. God is not a genie. I think he rewards those who take action. I think he rewards individuals who take that first step, that leap of faith to being who they always wanted to be. It's not always linear. There's going to be trials and tribulations. There's going to be negative moments, times that they don't enjoy, and then there's going to be positive moments. Sorry, sometimes I think like people are hiding behind me. I don't know if that's paranoia. Anyways. Sorry, I had to cut that. I thought somebody was talking to me. But anyways, yeah. So, yes, it is true that in capitalism, the business owners and the investors, they need foot soldiers to get the job done. That's something that's very true. But who's to say that we have to go work those jobs? I'm not one of these millionaire Bezos people. Do I want to be? Do I want to be in a position where I'm an owner and I get to provide jobs for people? It's like, yes, of course I do. But I think it's also something to keep in mind that those people don't just wake up and become millionaires. In the video they say, oh yeah, what about the people that start down at the bottom and then they end up becoming somebody, and they talk about it, and then they say on TV, oh, well, that's because you just see them on TV. That's why they show them, so that you can be somebody who can chase that, but really there's no reality in that dream. Like, you can't be somebody like that. It's just so rare. But then on the flip side, they think that all these millionaires and billionaires and business owners, they all got their money through like trust fund money or hitting the lottery or having some idea that just blew up and made millions in 2 days. I think it goes hand in hand. You can sit there and say, oh yeah, those people are celebrities and those are famous people because they want to push them out. But at the same time, you can't just sit there and think that wealth is just something that's a wish made by God and some people are deserving of wealth and some people are deserving of poverty. Like, that's just not how it works. I think, again, we have the free will, the freedom to choose the life that we want to live. And it's unfortunate that like there's such a negative connotation to this statement that I'm about to make, but I believe that being broke is a scarcity mindset. Always thinking and blaming other people for your shortcomings and not being who you always wanted to be. I think we all have the freedom and the willpower to be whoever it is that we can become. We all have access to internet. We all have access to libraries. We all have access to going up to somebody and asking them to be our mentor. We all have access to going to events of whatever industry that we choose that we want to be a part of. I mean, if I wanted to start selling fish, I can go to fish markets and talk to fish vendors and merchants and figure out how to get started, ask for one of them to be my mentor, grab their email, grab their number, stay connected, work for him for free for 6 months to learn the tricks of the trade, then finally open up my own place, keep networking more, keep reading books about what it's like in the fish market. Do I become a fisher? Do I hire people? I find the capital. Okay, I go network and find somebody who's willing to give me $10,000 for 10% of my company. Okay, all right, well, I'm going to use that capital to get this person to work for me. And then, like, I'm just saying, it's really not, it's hard. I'm just saying the barriers to entry to being who you always want to be, the free will to choose, we have that. That is like the whole premise of this reality. And so if you want to take that free will and use it to complain about the society, the system that you're put into, it's wasted energy. It doesn't make any sense to me in my anecdotal experience. Trying to figure out what else that video said. I'm almost positive it said something about by working hard you can get somewhere. I've never enjoyed that idea. Honestly, in life, I think the way that the internet and AI and society is built, I think it's predicated off of using what's going on in here instead of what's going on in your body. I think it's unfortunate that the way that this system is built, working with your hands and your arms and your legs, just as an employee, there's no real benefit to that. It seems like you're like stuck in poverty unless you work on very special projects or you're a head honcho or you're managing other people to work with their arm and body and legs. What I will say is, as an employee, you technically are a consumer. You are consuming the CEO or the business entity, as it were, is wages. So that's why you have to pay taxes on something like that. The same way if you were to go into a store, you're buying their product, you're consuming their product. It costs money, it costs tax to do that. So one of the best ways to become someone that has equity, that has value, that provides a service that dodges a lot of the employment consumer taxes is by creating something. And again, I think that's the American dream. Is you see it all the time with corner stores. Like, you have a lot of ethnic families, Middle Eastern families, African families. Just for example, they're opening up liquor stores on the corner. And this is not me like stereotyping. This is something that there's real equity, there's real value in owning businesses like that, even if it's just bodegas in New York. You see a lot of Asian families, they own a lot of salons, and anybody can own any types of things. I'm just trying to relate to you in things that we see in our neighborhoods, especially mine living in South Sacramento, a very diverse community. There are tax incentives, there are values, there is time allotted, time granted to you by owning a business and creating wages for other employees to consume. That's the way that the system is built. I think, unfortunately, in school, we were built and taught to be employees. We were taught to consume an owner of a company's wages. But in reality, I think the biggest lesson to learn is financial literacy is so important. And I think that video, in my humble opinion, shows the lack of financial literacy that a lot of us have. And I think that, again, we have the freedom to gain financial literacy from books, from the internet. I just think a lot of us don't even realize where we stand. And the way that society is built, we lack the spiritual perception to understand where we are on the totem pole. We just think, oh, this is just the way life is. It's a caste system that I'm stuck here. No, some other countries have it like that, but not in the land of the free, the home of the brave. I'm being honest with you. Everybody has the freedom to choose who they want to be. And it's not to knock, it's not to knock the system, as it were. Like, that is the case. And if you want to look at it like that, then that's the way it'll be for you. I'm just trying to give you a different swing of perspective on what I think when I hear something like that. It's like, okay, yeah, that's true. Like, some of those things are true. Like, yeah, that sucks. As an employee, you're eating a owner's business's wages, and so you have to pay taxes on that, and there's no real value or financial freedom in that ladder. But meanwhile, the CEO of that company is kicking back in Cancun watching you work for him. I did that. I sold software for a year and a half right after I graduated college. And I remember going to Chicago. They flew us out to Chicago for like a sales rally. And I remember meeting the CEO's hand, or shaking the CEO's hand. He was like, yeah, I just got back from this vacation, blah, blah, blah. And in my head, I instantly thought, man, I'm actually funding his vacation. And that's when it made me really realize that I want to be my own boss. I want to be my own businessman. I want to reach financial freedom by creating something that people can consume, right? And so my valley, or my path journey, is a content creator, right? And so people will consume my content, and the mediums of social media will pay me to provide entertainment, value even on a channel of something like this, and brand deals will come through. Companies will enjoy making content with me. I have user-generated content deals where I go and create content for other companies. Like, these are things that I am doing on my own, that I have my own hours. I have the freedom. I have the time to do this. And I feel like there is a true path to financial freedom. No matter, and mind you, if I work super hard at like a sales job, yeah, there's commission, right? So I'm blessed in that aspect. But some people, they can work so hard at their job at Pizza Hut, right? Just for example, no matter how hard they work, they're still only making a certain amount of money per hour. They could make 10,000 pizzas in 8 hours, but they're only going to get paid 8 times $15. What is that, $120 in that day? I don't think there's value there, and nobody's telling you to go work those jobs. And again, I'm super thankful about my anecdotal experience and the things that I've been through. One of my best friends, a huge content creator, I remember that I was thinking in the mind state of an employee when I had moved to Texas, and my best friend, really big content creator, was like, why are you thinking so small? You need to expand your horizons and think about different ways you can make money being you, using the skills and the hobbies that you enjoy and figuring out ways to monetize that. But then you have people that are like, oh, well, let me play victim again. Yeah, I blame the system, right? Oh, and then, Zay tells me to act on my interests, act on my hobbies, act on things that I genuinely enjoy, but I like those for what they are. Now I have to go and do it when I don't want to do it. Man, that sucks. That sounds like a job. I don't want it to be a job. One way or another, you're going to have a job, so why don't you do it on something that you enjoy? Yeah, there might be moments, right? Let's say you paint. There might be moments where you don't feel like painting. You don't feel like drawing. But that's the way life is. There's going to be moments where you don't feel like doing something. But again, like I said at the beginning of the episode, your present self can set yourself up in the future. If you always keep choosing to be selfish and not thinking about who you want to be, where it is that you want to go, but also having that present mind state of controlling what you can control now, you're doomed to doom. You're mad at your past self for being selfish, so now you're presently selfish, and then you're screwing your future self over. So, everything in life is a balance, and like I said, I'm here for you guys. And if this even changes one person's mindset on not trying to look about, oh, society affects me, life affects me. No, I want you to start realizing that you are the CEO of your own life. You can inflict your reality upon this reality. If you choose to do so, you just have to change your mindset. You have to change your thought process. There's tons of books that help you mold to unlearn what you learned as a student, as an employee, as a part-time prisoner, doing things that you didn't want to do all day to help, the school make money. And now when you're a job, you make the owner of the company make money. I think there is so much value in being an owner of a company, right? Being, having ownership. Like, that is true. That's the way stuff is supposed to be built, Like, of course, everybody would want the opportunity to have a business that runs itself and then they go fuck off. But mind you, that business didn't start off beautiful. A lot of these business owners, they had to spend hours upon hours sitting in the red, not making any money on their investment for the first couple of years to create a system that doesn't need them so they can go off and have their time, right? For me as an entrepreneur, I'm telling you guys, there are weeks where I work 50, 60, 70-hour weeks. That's just the way it is, especially if you include the time that I'm thinking and strategizing and contemplating new concepts from my content, outreach to brands, networking, all those things. Like, You guys think that, not you guys, and I'm not trying to say anybody in particular, I'm just trying to get you to understand. A lot of these businesses, they work hours on end. And some people still work the same 30, 40 hours. Like if you take that across a longitudinal study, somebody working in those first 3 years of their business equates to somebody, or no, sorry, I'm going to repeat that. Somebody working in that first year, right, of working endlessly every day, 9 to 9, that's the same equivalent of somebody else working 2 years, 3 years on a regular employee 9 to 5 job. So I think how you choose to spend your hours is definitely very important. I think this is a culmination of all the episodes that I've talked about with abundance and scarcity and time management, and setting up your future self for success, and learning to gain perspective and control what you can control right now. Control what you can control for your future self. Be an advocate. Be an asset to your future self. Be something that when you look back on, you can say, man, my young me was really looking out for me, man. I can appreciate you for that. Like, that was awesome. Like, thank you. And I'm going to take the momentum and push to be the version that I want to be for my future self. It's like too many people spend time complaining and whining about something that's right in front of them. The rules, the system, their friends, their parents, their whatever. Instead of figuring out how to beat the game to be who they always want to be and get to choose to live life every single day how they see fit. And then, check this out. There could be a moment where you're too busy complaining about the system. Somehow there's an opportunity that you end up getting connected through. Your friend's brother, sister, cousin's, grandmother's daughter, right, has this opportunity for you, and you were so busy complaining you weren't ready for the moment. I remember I had a chance to be on this reality TV show, the big one, the big dating reality TV show. This was when I was single years ago. I remember I was so busy complaining, oh, why doesn't it happen? Why? You know, I'm talking to casting directors, I'm doing this. Sure enough, one of them ended up reaching out to me for the biggest dating show, and I don't think my body was as ready as it could have been. This was like a couple years ago. You know, I think that's just one example in my own life that I can think about where you're too busy complaining about something not happening. Maybe God's setting up the golden opportunity for you. Like maybe you should set yourself up for success so that when opportunity comes, you're prepared for it and people think it's luck. Because that's truly what luck is where opportunity meets preparation. So the system is built that way. Trust me, I get it. I understand, but I don't look at it from a victim mindset. I don't say, oh, woe is me. Well, I'm just going to keep working this schmuck job and have a schmuck life. Like, that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, okay, I understand the rules. Let me try to be the best version of myself to ultimately beat the game. And I know that other people are spending their time playing victim, worried and whining and complaining about the rules. So I already have the upper hand just by choosing to change my mindset, choosing to figure out how to beat the game instead of just, woe is me, I just want to complain about a system that I can't even change to begin with. I could see if it was rules that we could actually change, but the way that politics are set up, if you guys haven't seen, I don't even want to get into it. But yeah, I want to see how much time I'm at. Oh, perfect timing. All right, well, what I want to do now is I want to have a guided meditation. So if you don't mind, finding somewhere on the ground, on your bed, whatever feels comfortable, on your couch, say crisscross applesauce for me, and close your eyes, and we're going to do 3 deep breaths. So in and out. In and out. In and out. What I want you to do is think about the highest version of yourself. Think about the person that you've always wanted to become. The job, the lifestyle, the body. I want to give you a moment just to really breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And think about, visualize the highest version of yourself. The life that you have, the car that you drive, the body that you look at when you're in the mirror, how you take yourself through your day, the dinners you get to eat, the trips you go on, the people's hands that you're shaking, the acknowledgement from peers. Don't settle either. Think about the highest version. Don't settle for, oh, I think I could get this. No, the highest version. And so there's two things that I want to say about that. First, ask yourself, why am I not the version that I had just thought of right now? Ask yourself why. And be careful. Don't blame anything else except anything having to do with yourself. If you're really true and honest in this exercise, you'll say things like, I'm not disciplined when it comes to my body. I'm not disciplined and holding myself accountable for the career that I want. I'm not taking these steps to meet the right people, to network, to put myself in positions to be successful for what it is that I want. That video puts you in the mind state of, well, it's the system, and it's my mom, and it's my roommate who's mean, and it's the job that I have, or the cards that I were dealt. That is the accountability and self-discipline that I mean when I say, why aren't you the version of yourself that you always wanted to be? Keep your eyes closed for me, please. The second thing I want you to do is ask yourself, do you have a plan to become the person you just visualized? Do you have a plan, a path, a journey? Can you see the roadmap in your head? If the answer is no, your priorities are out of whack. You're worried about something else that isn't as important as you, your life. You came here by yourself and you're leaving by yourself. So what's the most important thing that matters? Making sure you are doing what you want to do in this life. We only live for 80 to 100 years. Choosing who it is that I want to be before anything else. I don't have a plan to become this person I visualize. Well, do I want to really become this person? Do you really? Do you? I don't think, do you? That's a question you really have to ask yourself. And the answer is yes, but you don't have a plan, then your priorities are at a rift. They're at a disconnect. I think you claim that you want that visualization that you just had. Where's the accountability? Where's the self-discipline? If you don't have a path, even worse is not having a path and then blaming the system or other people or life in general as to why you can't have the path to become the visualization of who you want. You are the CEO of your own life. You inflict your reality upon the world, as it were, on society, on capitalism, on whatever you want. You can open your eyes now. I appreciate you guys, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings or make it seem like I'm trying to be this mean person. Like, life is cutthroat, bro. It's a dog-eat-dog world. And a lot of people know that. They know that a lot of other individuals are spending their time complaining, whining, worrying about things that they can't control, spending their time on things that bring no value, buying liabilities instead of focusing on assets. Mind you, there are intangible assets such as reading books, watching videos, gaining perspective on life, shaking hands, finding mentors. Like, there's so many different ways to spend your time. And then you sit there and then you're mad that the system doesn't have it to where it's super easy for you. Of course there's not that many millionaires and business owners and billionaires and successful people because it's hard to do in this society. It's in life. It's easy to fail classes or not show up or be overweight. It's hard to be in shape, get straight A's, be a business owner, reach financial freedom. That's the way life is as a human. But again, we still have the freedom to choose. Every single moment we have the freedom to choose. Appreciate you guys, man. My DM is open. I have an email at the bottom of this if you guys want to talk and chat about anything. Topics you want me to talk about in the next episode. So, appreciate you guys, man. Life is good. I swear to you, life is truly good. All right.